Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us. I've prepared this video on the sales training for Generalist to go over with you if you need any assistance or want to see what it's like. This is what we had envisioned the Generalist training looking like and having been delivered to the distribution channel. All in, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes. There's some opportunity to make up some time. I'll be talking directly to you, the rep. This isn't necessarily for end users to see or any of our distribution partners, but this is kind of a guideline to how to deliver a generalist sales training. And again, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes all in with questions and some of the other things. So with that, I'll get started. We're here today to talk at a high level about what is access control and how it impacts you. I usually begin by asking who here is familiar with access control. It's always a good idea to get a feel for how well somebody knows it. If this is delivered one-on-one, you can just ask them directly, of course. The total scope of the access control market that exists today, is in 2015 anyway, is about $1.5, $1.6 billion in the America. Now that's the all-in access control market, end user price with all the peripherals and all the things that make up an access control solution. Comparatively speaking, the video market is about $9 billion in the Americas, so the exact same market. The interesting thing about video, of course, is that it's a $9 billion part, but 20% of that, so roughly another billion and a half or so, is actually sold as an integrated solution. So the idea is if 20% of all the video sales are being sold as an integrated solution, and that's in both North and South America, if everyone isn't selling access control today, they're leaving money on the table. Somebody else is essentially selling it to them. So this presentation is designed to help you, the distribution inside salesperson, learn about Kantech, but also give you enough confidence with the solution and access control in general to be able to add it onto your existing sales and supplement your income. So I'd ask you to remember the one thing, that if you're not selling access, somebody else is. So who is Kantech? Kantech has over 30 years of experience. Now think about what that means. 30 years is a long time. The most interesting thing about Kantech, unlike just about any other manufacturer out there of any product really, is that panel number one from day number one is still relevant today. We've never discontinued or made irrelevant, I should say, that product. Instead, what we've done is continued to develop upon the same platform and grow into the IP space and various other wonderful new advancements in the technology through our software. So customers have the benefit of knowing that they're using a very well-established access control platform that has been around for a long time, and most importantly, that their system will continue to remain relevant. And this is all done without the need for annual licensing or other costly upgrades. So your customer can feel pretty good about that. 77,000 doors in 2014 alone. That's a huge part of the industry right now, especially when you consider how much of that actually goes through distribution. If you think about all the doors that might have been installed in North America and what percentage of that might have been installed through a distribution channel, through our low voltage integrator or other integrators, $77,000 is a huge part of the market share. Now to our distribution partners, why does access control make sense? Why should they listen? Why is it impactful for them? Obviously because the market's there and the customers need it, but also it's a high dollar, high gross margin product. So as opposed to cameras that might be a little bit of a race to zero when it comes to margin these days, we're talking high dollar and high gross margin contributions to the branch. So for any of those locations that need to really work on their gross margin, selling access control is a great way to be able to contribute to do that. So make sure everyone understands that this is a huge opportunity for them if they start asking the right questions and adding on access control. Kantech is a distribution-only business model. That's all we do. Kantech has had legacy accounts in the past that have been able to buy direct, but our focus and everything that we do is continuing to drive the business through our distribution channel. We cannot have our cake and eat it too. And by that I mean you can't compete with your own channel, which a lot of manufacturers do. You cannot compete with your own channel. Even if it's at twice the price, it just doesn't make sense. Everything should go through the channel all the time. So it's important to make note of that. And lastly, when you think of Kantech, the one thing about Kantech that makes us different is our user experience. A lot of people talk about user experience. What does user experience really mean? At this point, I usually ask people to give me some definitions, and I might write them on the board. Could mean behaviors or attitudes or emotions, how somebody feels about it. The ease of use is a common one that comes up. What the perceptions are of something, that could be the user experience of how they perceive it. It can also be defined as calling it the value of the human-computer interaction, the value of that interaction. And this is where Kantech has a superior hold in the market. The value, how powerful someone would feel to be able to use our Entrepass software or the Entrepass Web and Go. Are they able to do everything they want to do so simply and intuitively? That's where Kantech has really spent a lot of their time. So to sum it up, those are some of the most important 4 or 5 things about Kantech that we can talk about. Moving along, I would love to have people get this Entrepass Go on their phone even during this demonstration that we're doing now. As you're speaking with anyone from the distribution channel, this is a great opportunity to get them to download it and use the demo version of it. So take a couple of minutes if you're doing a large class, 4, 5, 10 people, you can do this, or if you're doing it one-on-one, you can do it. Alternatively, you can take out your phone and do it because it's just that simple. You can search for Entrepass Go. It's, of course, on Apple and iDevices. Download, install, hit the demo button at the startup and unlock a door. You don't even need to point it to the demo server. You don't have to do any of that stuff if you don't want. Of course, that does add something if you want to be able to show them the web interface later and show them all the people that have locked or unlocked a door later on. You might want them to do that, but it's not necessary. And lastly, it's a fantastic way for them to use it as a sales tool. Show it to them because they can actually have their customers, their end users, download it and try it before they buy it. It's a fantastic way for everyone to use it. And they can take this out on their iPad, their iPhone, their Android phone, and show people just how easy it is to unlock a door, add a user, whatever they need to do from this interface. So moving along, for those who don't know, and again, if there's a high level of access control knowledge, this step can be somewhat skipped. But for the most part, most folks don't have a huge understanding of what access control is. So what is it? It's selective restriction. It's picking who can come in or out of a building and at what time. It's selectively deciding who those people are, when they can do it. And so from our Access 101 presentation, which this is not, but we do need to borrow a little bit from just so we can get a good understanding, there are the 3 main parts that we're going to talk about: the door hardware, controllers, and peripherals. So in this image, and it may change if you're in a future version, you have hopefully a better graphic than this. This is what a typical door looks like. We have the outside of the door on the left and we have the inside of the door on the right. So this is a wiring diagram, for example, with a KT1. Of course, the KT1 can be powered by a PoE or PoE Plus, so this might just connect back to the intranet, if you will, via a Cat5e connection. And there's just a couple of parts that we need to speak to. On the secure side of the door, of course, we have our lock. This is not a mag lock, and we kind of would suggest people stay away from mag locks, although they can work in specific cases. However, in this case, it's a strike, and these are all part of the DK1 door kit, which we'll go over in a bit. There's a door contact, or basically a door position switch. This lets us know if the door has been opened. If it's been forced opened, it lets us know the position of the door. And the third component on the secure side of the door is the T-Rex. There has to be a way, and it doesn't have to be a T-Rex, of course, but there has to be a way to send a message to the lock to unlock when somebody who's inside the building wants to get out. You might have a push button, press here to exit, or you might have something like a motion or a T-Rex, which basically works in such a way that the lock power is dropped out when it's time to when somebody passes in front of the beam, in front of the door. Of course, that's all good on the inside of the door. On the outside of the door, however, we wouldn't have anything like that. And so typically we'll have one of our many types of readers that we've put here. So they'd use the reader to access the door. From the outside, of course, the lock would unlock. And on the inside of the door, we have the same lock, but we'd also have our contact and our request to exit device, in this case a T-Rex, and our door controller, all on the secure side of the door. Those are the components that go into making up an access control solution. There's varying different types of these types of doors and how they configure, but the gist is if you need to know basics about access control, that's it. The problem, and the one we hear most often from a lot of folks, is there's just so many door configurations. How do I know what to use? Well, Kantech has a whole approach to this, and it's our easy as 1, 2, 3. It's a kitted, modular approach, so they can build the solution that they need, just basically knowing iterations of the same 3 part numbers. So our starter kits, our SK kits, they can be 2 or 4 doors, and it includes all the basics they need to get started. They would only ever need one of those for any type of installation. Our expansion kit can be, again, 2 or 4 doors. Of course, they can be 1 door as well with our KT1, and they come with all the different parts that they would need for that. So the controller, a battery, a transformer, etc. And there's optional things. For instance, our readers, the IOPROX readers, any relays, any types of converters, depending on what type of solution they already have in there. So of course they can expand their starter kit with the use of expansion kits. It's important to note you can also use the expansion kits for existing installations. So we wouldn't need a starter kit. The starter kit includes the software, which we don't really need in this case if somebody's already got an existing installation. But we can use an expansion kit to build upon any solution. The great thing about Kantech, of course, is that it's common hardware. So you don't need to buy a specific type of hardware for a specific type of software. That allows the customer to upgrade their software as needed without having to change out their hardware. So it doesn't matter what version of software they're running. If they need to expand their solution, they can use one of our expansion kits. And lastly, of course, is our accessory or door kit, DK1. It has that request to exit, the T-Rex, also has a door contact and a strike, as well as a series of faceplates that allow you to install in most solutions. The big takeaway from this particular slide is that there's really only 3 parts you need to know. And of that, you can go from a 1 or 2 door solution to really thousands of door solution just using iterations of these same kits. So anybody can do it and give everybody everything they need for most basic types of installations, where we just need a request to exit device, a strike, a door contact, and a reader. This is where we can do that effectively. At this point, I'd also like to show people the cheat sheet. So if it hasn't been handed out previously, give them the cheat sheet to start getting familiar with it before we move on. They can take a look at the different types of kits that exist there. We have them labeled 1, 2, 3. There's additional parts on the back that people might be drawn to. There's also a matrix chart, if you will, that allows you to decide how many parts you need based on how many doors. So for instance, if you had a 12-door solution, you could scroll down the 12-door and see, okay, I need 1 SK, I need X amount of EK kits, and X amount of DK kits, door kits as well. So it's good to point out because that'll be a part of the kind of final piece of the presentation. Configurations. I don't spend a huge amount of time here, but it's important for folks to understand the 3 different software levels. Today we're only going to talk about 2 of them. There's no need to go into global at all for what we're doing for these folks, as there really are no kits around them, and that's a special message entirely. So in this case, we're just going to talk about our special edition and corporate edition, and how you can grow organically by stepping up with the different software as needs arise. And it can grow with your client as they need, and they can continue to add on to it. So the special edition, big takeaway here, it's an entry-level thing. This is the thing that most folks try to decide if they like Kantech or if they like to get into access control at all. This is the place to start. And so we have, of course, limited feature set. This one doesn't require any training. You can see some of the things. You can still get integration into Exact and American Dynamics. You can still have DSC alarm panels, of course, but it's missing some of the larger things such as the Entrepass Web and Entrepass Go. So this is the entry level. Anyone can pick it up off the shelf. It's a great way for people to be able to start with Kantech. They can decide if they like it and decide if they want to move forward with it from here, and do most basic types of installations. Of course, our corporate edition is really the next step up. The benefit of corporate edition, of course, first of all, folks have to become certified. We have regular certification classes. If you have dealers that you know of that would like to step up to corporate edition, there's certain advantages for them, not only in a feature set, but also from a pricing perspective and their position in the market and what they're being able to offer. With a corporate edition, if they've been certified, they're able to differentiate themselves in the market. The biggest change here, of course, is there's a lot more we can do with it. Multi-site gateway has been added, of course, which we don't go into terribly during this presentation, but of course, web server and smart link that allows the use of Entrepass Go and Entrepass Web. So that Entrepass Go or Web that we started out with and had folks download at the beginning so they could see what it looks like, you have to be running your corporate edition in order to be able to take advantage of that. If you'd like to show them at this point, going into the Entrepass Web or Entrepass Go and again unlock doors or show them what they can do at least at the web side now that they've tried the Go side, this would be an opportune time. So that ends the configurations. Next, I'd like to talk about programs and spiffs. Again, with Kantech's commitment to our distribution channel, we continuously provide different promotions as well as discounts to both the distributor and the dealers of the products. Of course, we also offer spiff programs. So we very frequently have programs running that would incentivize the salespeople. And usually what we try and do is change behaviors. So if somebody's not used to selling access control, there's an opportunity to do it here. If we have a new product that's come out we want people to get used to using, then this is where we would do it. We also have a match and replace program. Great opportunity to go into detail about what that is. That's our takeover program where you can get a discount for swapping out an existing installation for one of ours. Our specification program or project registration program, we can go over at a high level there. If they have a project that they're influencing, there's an opportunity for them to register that and be able to get more out of it in order for it to be swayed toward Kantech. And of course demo programs if they have a dealer or somebody who needs a demo equipment. I'm sure there's a way that we'll be able to work with them. So make mention of those and then that they're available to folks. Most importantly, if there is something specifically running at that distributor, this is an opportunity to say, hey, by the way, this month we're running a $10 a door spiff for our KT1 product or for any of the kits that include readers. Great opportunity to actually show them a spiff that's running right now that they may not even be aware of. You can also hand out any accompanying flyer for it. So if there's a flyer that accompanies the spiff that we're running, great time to talk about it, make sure they know about the different programs because we're really committed to growing these programs and doing it with them. So we have their attention, great opportunity to talk about spiffs. So at this point, what we like to do is go into the practical application. So we've got our cheat sheet in hand that accompanies this training, and that's an integral part of this because we haven't done anything with part numbers on this presentation. They've been kept off on purpose. The cheat sheet makes the biggest difference. The cheat sheet allows us to actually look at the part numbers, look at the way we put together kits and things like that. So at this time, what I usually do is ask people to look at these three scenarios. These scenarios can change and they may differ by the time you're ready to give the presentation. These are just examples that are up here. I usually take 5 to 10 minutes to go through this, not only to allow people the opportunity to look at the scenarios, but it's absolutely critical that they take a look at their cheat sheet, take a look at the scenario, and figure out a bill of materials for that scenario using their cheat sheet. If we can get them to see that, hey, it's really only 3 parts I have to worry about for this type of opportunity, and we've given just enough information to give hints at what the scenario is and what the desired outcome is, that's great. You can talk about it too, because you might get differing opinions on it. There's a new construction 8 perimeter doors scenario number 2 there. We could use KT400s. It could be all KT1s. There's many different ways for people to put the right application together. So talk about them, come up with what we think might be the best answer, and really talk about what would be the right solution here. And if there's multiples, make sure everybody knows about that. But really, there's the takeaway for everybody is, wow, with only about 3 parts, I can build out this whole thing without much effort at all. So that's the big takeaway. Lastly, the help section. How are we going to work together? This is an important part of it. So who are all of our local reps? You as a rep giving this presentation have the opportunity to add into this slide, make a copy of this if you wanted, or hand out your business card, whatever you've got. Make sure they know how to get in touch with you. Of course, all the different Kantech regional sales managers, what the tech support number is, the pre-sale support number. In this specific case, we have the AX support at kantech.com. So for those doing the any of the Annixter or Triad locations, they can do that. Triad, you can also mention Michael Vermon. He is based out of the Rockland, California branch, but he is the specialist for Kantech within Triad. He is a resource that we pay for that allows people to, if they have any questions internally, if they need help putting together bill of materials or any of the types of questions that aren't answered by this generalist training, he's a great internal resource for them. And I've also put my information down as an all else contact, so if people need to get in touch with me, they're more than welcome to, and I'll always send them to kantech.com as a website. And so with that, that's really the sales training. It's very simple. It's minimally invasive, not a lot of information here, and it's designed specifically that way. It's been carefully crafted so that people get just as much information as they have or that they need to know in order to be dangerous. All in, I know this was a lot shorter because we didn't download the app, we didn't take any questions, we didn't really go through the scenarios piece. So you see there's a couple of areas that you're able to make up time, but it should be 45 minutes on the outside. If it's really a one-on-one and there's not much discussion, you could really get this done in less than half an hour. So it's a perfect time for those busy distribution locations where you can only meet with people one at a time on their lunch break or something like that. It's a great opportunity to be able to do it. Hope you enjoyed watching this. If you need anything else, feel free and contact me, Adam Lake. It's alake@tycoint.com. Thanks so much.